You are now listening to A Worthy Opponent, a production of Holosuite Media. Tune in to our live show every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to turn 41 of A Worthy Opponent. We are a podcast based on the Blizzard game Hearthstone. We are for the oh-so-casual player, and we stress that we are casual. And I am Black Lace. With me in the studio tonight is Autumn's Bane.
Fugan is sad because everyone likes Stalag better.
It almost makes you feel sad for him.
Well, I'm not so sure I like Stalag better.
Well,
Stalag's more egotistical because Stalag want to write own flavor text. Stalag awesome.
I see. Since we are talking about Stalag and Fugan are the rewards for completing the normal mode. I was getting there! Jeepers! The normal mode of the construct section. Yeah.
Why
Okay.
two? Why two legendaries, you might ask?
I know why. 'Cause
Why?
they're buddies. My computer is kind of messing up on me here, so you'll have to forgive me. But Stalag and Fugan are they polar opposites? They may not be. Well, they are kind of polar opposites because of the whole thing. Fugan.
Well, one is 7/4, and
the other is 4/7.
4/7.
Yep, and each of them, if one dies in the game, you summon the other. If
No.
you have the death
No.
rattle. If Stalag also died this game, summon Thaddeus.
That's the one.
That's the one.
So they both have to die.
The other one is if Fugan also died this game, summon Thaddeus. They are 5 casting cost, and as Autumn's Bane mentioned, one's 7/4 and the other is 4/7. So those are the double legendaries we got for closing the construct quarter for the normal mode. Basically, the first boss, and I'm just going to give bosses and cards real quick. First boss was Patchwork, gave the Undertaker card. The second boss was Grabulus, Mad Scientist card. Third boss, Gluth, actually. Zombie Chow. And then we had Thaddeus, who gave the Wailing Soul card. And by completing the construct quarter as mentioned, you got both Stalag and Fugan as the legendaries. And for completing the new class quests, which were Priest to Thaddeus, Dark Cultist card, and Warrior to Grabulus, Death Spite. We're going to hold off talking about Warrior to Grabulus until the very end, because I think Autumn's Bane has a lot to say about that one. Yes?
A lot to say about what, you say?
The Warrior versus Grabulus. But we won't talk about it yet.
I have lots to say about that.
Mostly 4-letter words. But let us get back to the quarter opened up again without incident. So whatever that glitch was week 1, seems that they fixed it. I'm hoping that everybody who couldn't get into the game back on week 1, because I know week 2 some people still couldn't. Hopefully everybody's playing by now.
Yeah, I don't think it was week 1 that was the problem. I think it was week 2 that was the problem.
No, you couldn't get in week 1. It took you almost a week to get in.
Okay.
You forgot.
No, I thought it was the second week I had the trouble with, but I guess it was the first.
Yeah. All right, so do you want to go discuss Undertaker, and I'll go on to the Mad Scientist?
I suppose I could do that. Undertaker. Is that what it's called? Undertaker?
Undertaker. Patchworks.
Let me find him.
Oh boy, you are not prepared.
No, I was prepared. I had to click another button to do something because I didn't know you'd be telling me to do Undertaker. But here's Undertaker right here.
You're undertaking a new task.
Yes, he's a 1 casting cost. He's a 1/2 minion. Whenever you summon a minion with Death Rattle, gain +1/+1. I could see how that could be useful in a theme deck of Death Rattles.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Card gets thumbs up.
And he's got a 2 toughness, which means he won't be popped off turn 1 by a mage or a druid.
Yeah, always good. Not a bad card. There are cards here that I question, and we'll get into that. The second one, Mad Scientist. I like this one. It's the Grabulus Award card. Basically, it's a 2 casting cost 2/2 creature. Its Death Rattle is put a secret from your deck into the battlefield. Mage card. I say mage card because they gave mages yet another secret as well.
I have more to say on that later.
Okay. You want to say it now, or do you want to hold it?
No, I will hold it till later. I'm just getting excited about all the stuff to talk about.
Why don't you talk about the next card? I have a lot to say about it.
Well, tell me which one is the next card, and I'll talk about it. I don't have your list in front of you.
Zombie Chow.
Oh, Zombie Chow. This has become, from what I'm hearing, a pretty popular card. It's a 1 casting cost, 2/3 minion, and that's not bad, but there's a heavy price to pay. You know, like demons and stuff. Sometimes you pay through the nose in other ways besides health. The Death Rattle is to restore 5 health to the enemy hero. So if you call him out on the first turn and never even get to attack, then, well, I guess if you never get to attack, then your hero wouldn't need 5 health. And you mentioned this actually once upon a time. If it's an early game card, then you don't risk paying back that Death Rattle. But, you know,
right.
later...
The Death Rattle is
later in the game, I think he's...
dangerous.
Later in the game, he's not as good because you
he gives your opponent 5 health back.
Right. So later in the game, you don't want to play him, really, because you get your opponent down to almost dead, and then suddenly you play this weenie card, and he gets 5 health back. So I personally, and I'm no expert at this, I'm just a casual player, I say this is a pretty decent early card, but I would never use it late game.
And we've gotten quite a few emails that they actually like this card. So I need to be sold on it. I just find it not really worth the risk. I don't...
Yeah, it's popular. I'm seeing, when doing web browser searches about Hearthstone things, I'm seeing decks named after it. Apparently a lot of people like this card.
Well, it's a cute name, and it kind of reminds me, oh God, back many, 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 many years ago, there used to be these packs of cards you would buy at the little 5 and dime stores, or whatever the heck they were called, penny stores, that had all these weird things to them. Laffy Becks? No, I don't remember what they're called. They had a stick of gum in them and silly, silly cards. And the name Zombie Chow just reminds me of something I would have found in one of those gum packs. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Wacky packages.
Wacky packages. Yes. Oh my God, wacky packs. They were fun. Kids don't have that anymore.
They go for big money on eBay if you can find someone who still has them.
I never saved mine. The gum was too important to me. But that's what Zombie Chow reminds me of.
Now that you've told everyone how old you are.
Oh, well. Wailing Soul, it's me right now, is the next card. That was the card you got off of Thaddeus. And Wailing Soul is a 4 casting cost, 3/5 creature. His battle cry is silence to your other minions. So he comes out and he silences your minions. What are your thoughts on this?
He silences my minions. I suppose that there may be times when you want to silence your own minions. There's lots of nasty stuff your opponent can do to you. So I can see an advantage to that. But 3/5 minion for, let's say you have no other minions out, then, what harm does it do? I mean, a 3/5 minion is fine for 4. But there are times when there's something on your minion that, like something, doesn't corruption make your character die at the end of the next turn, at the beginning of your opponent's next turn?
Right, or something to that. But
so
I'm thinking
that might cleanse that off of there. So there are times when it might be useful. Again, this is probably
Ragnaros.
designed.
Ragnaros.
Oh, if you want Ragnaros to
If
attack.
you want him to be able to attack, you want an 8 creature to be suddenly able to just wail through. You can,
Yeah.
I don't know why you'd do that, but it would be direct damage. You wouldn't have the risk of him striking a 1/1 weenie when you want to just off the other character, your opponent.
Yeah, I think this is for someone who's really good with strategy can probably make a good deck with this using
Mhm.
this. I haven't seen it played against me
Not yet.
other than in Nax.
In Naxxramas it was, and it was used to a good effect in Nex. So it's definitely it's a card that has its moments. It's one of our situational cards, I'd say. Stalag and Fugue and the legendaries, though, I'm thinking just when this is all over and I don't have a spot, where I need to designate one area to redoing all the cards in it. What I'm trying to say is my decks. I have one of my decks that I can wipe out every week. The rest, I like my cards. I'm going to leave them all alone. Once this is over with and I can actually, completely obliterate that deck and do something I want with it, I might just for the fun of it do a Stalag Fugen deck. Just for the fun.
Yeah, that is a fun deck. And of course you put Elite Tour and Chieftains in that deck. Fun cards.
Yep, silly cards. And even that, you can even play your friends. I mean, doesn't mean, people don't have to go play against other, in the different modes. They can play their friends and play silly decks against your friends. You don't always have to be trying to climb up the ladder, or some people climb down the ladder. We'll discuss that later. Just play to have fun. Challenge your friends to a wacky deck.
Yeah, Micmac talked about some fun ways to play, and he whispered me this week and told me he was having a fun game with his friend where they were playing just mages and like a certain casting cost only or certain types of cards. Right. And just fun little games that people make up, sub games to the major game.
Yep. So color outside of the box, folks. Just play somebody as Micmac suggested. Make a deck focused around all the female characters, and you can only have any card in your deck has to be a female unless it's a spell. And then try to build the deck and play an opponent with it, like a friend with it, so that you're not going to worry about your ladder or your wins or your losses. Do it for fun. It sounded like a good idea. And we kind of got off tangent. But
yeah,
there was really.
You mentioned silencing your own minions. I did not catch what the card was, but there was something that was broken in one of the Nax wings. And man, I wish I had remembered it, but you just reminded me of it when you talked about silencing your own card. Somebody had a card, some minion, I think it's just a general minion, that usually hurts the other minions. So it was written into the code that the artificial intelligence enemy would not cast minions if this card was in play. And something happened where somebody silenced the card, and it glitched.
Are you thinking...
It glitched the system so that the opponent didn't go, and they had to go and put in a hotfix, I think, for it.
I'm not sure. There was another scenario where they tried to play a card that forced something to happen, and the game actually said, "Ha ha ha! You're not allowed to do that," and obliterated the card or something like that. I don't know.
Oh, that was Alexstrasza.
Alexstrasza, right?
Alexstrasza is broken in Nax.
That's just so not fair. Could you imagine you get Alexstrasza in your hand and like, yes, I've got this now, and you play her and Blizzard's built it into the program? Huh, no, you're not, and obliterates her? That's
as you said,
cruel.
They cheat.
It's great. So yeah, amazing the things you can find out. I'm gonna go quarter by quarter. First was not quarter by quarter. I'm sorry, boss by boss. First was Patchwork. He came out with now they started, in my opinion, they started to make the normal mode almost heroic, because they did little tweaks to the characters you're playing against.
Some worse than others.
Yes, some worse than others. Patchwork comes out with a 5/8 weapon, and for 4 mana, he can destroy any minion. Now, this is right up on your normal. This is not against a heroic. Now, we had seen that type of stuff before in heroic, but now he's starting out with a 5/8 weapon with 4 mana to destroy any minion. Thought it was pretty powerful. I actually beat it pretty quickly, though, which surprised me.
Let me interject
how
for a
did
second.
you do?
I'll tell you in just a second. Ringo just told us the name of the card. It was Doomsayer. Doomsayer is a 2 casting cost 0/7 minion. At the start of your turn, destroy all minions. So the code didn't allow them to put down minions, but of course the person who silenced it got to play their own minions without them getting destroyed. So that's what the card was. Anyway,
Wow.
we'll get back to Patchwork. I one-shotted him with my Hunter.
Did you? I
Yep.
took,
I had
I
a
think,
very fast group of minions come out that all got buffed with wolves, and many had charge, and Leroy Jenkins came out with, by the 4th turn. So by the time he had the ability to start really annihilating me with his hero power and smashing me with his weapon too bad, I beat him. But if you have a slow deck, forget it.
yeah, I had started with my mage deck and realized what I needed to do. Well, actually, was he the one I started with my shaman? No, we'll talk about that later. I started with my mage deck and did okay and realized that I needed to tweak it. So I created a mage deck that was completely taunts and rushes and ooze and mirror image, of course. And then I proceeded to play my normal deck and win and say, wait, I don't remember putting Raid Leader in there. What did I do? So here I had created a deck to play against him, had a Blonde from the Roots Down moment, played my own normal deck against him, but I did win. But taunts, rushes, ooze, mirror image, Raid Leader, those are good cards to play against him if he's giving you a hard time. That's the kind of thing you're going to want to play against Patchwork. Moving on to Grobulus. He comes.
I hated
no,
Grobulus.
yeah, he comes out for 2 mana. He does 1 damage to all minions, and if any die, they become a slime. To beat him, and I beat him probably 3 or 4 games, I think, to beat him. I had to tweak my mage deck to do some more direct damage and freezing. So basically, my mage deck with direct damage, freeze, fireballs, and my archmage and tinnitus managed to take him down. It took a little bit. I think he might have been the toughest. I think Thaddeus was the most fun, but I think Grobulus was the toughest. Actually, I think it took me quite a few turns or games to beat him. How'd you do, and what'd you do it with?
I tried it with my Hunter, because the Hunter had beaten Patchwork, so I figure, okay, let's go on with the Hunter. And there were too many taunts up. He has this give a minion +4/+4 and taunt, which is not a card we have access to. And he would do it on the Echoing Ooze, which has a battle cry, summon an exact copy of this minion at the end of the turn. When they say exact copy, they do mean an exact copy. So for 2 mana, he casts Echoing Ooze, then the +4 thing, I forget what the casting cost was, it wasn't too high. And then by the end of the turn, he now had 2 4/5 minions with taunt. And he did it to me 2 turns in a row. So I had all of these taunts against me, and I just couldn't overwhelm him with my Hunter. So I tried my Druid, which is usually pretty versatile. Couldn't do it with that. So I said, that's it. I need more direct damage to get past these taunts. I played the Mage one time and just blasted him over the shielded taunt minions. Yep. But
and freezing his minions help too.
Yeah, so it was 3. It might have taken 2 turns with the Mage. I might not have done it the first time, but I think I did it on the Mage one time. So no good with the hunter, no good with the druid, and then I got him with the mage.
Yep, mage seems to be the deck to play on that one. Gluth. His ability is to change all minions to a health of 1, and I did very well against him with just a normal priest deck. How did you do? I mean, I won pretty quickly on Gluth.
Gluth, I don't even remember. I think I took him down quickly. I barely remembered the fight.
Yeah.
And usually if I barely remember the fight, then it was over quickly.
So, but did you mark down what you won with?
No.
For shame.
I did it at lunchtime at work.
I still wish I could play during lunchtime at work. They still haven't released it for the Android. Come on, Blizzard. What's the holdup?
They're working on it. They are working on it.
I know, but not
more
fast enough. More
confirmation that they're still working on it. There's so many things that they're working on, though. They're working on observer mode. They're working on that, but I think it's different teams, but sub teams. So go on.
Okay, next boss was Thaddeus. Thaddeus was just a blast. Well, not the first time I played it.
A lightning blast.
He was for 0 casting cost. What he does is he swaps the attack and health of your minions and his minions. Everybody just does this little swap dance. Of course, the first time I played this, I didn't know what he really did, so I decided I was going to go against Thaddeus with my shaman. And after the first turn, and I saw what his ability was, I was like, oh god, that was so not the deck to play. You know why. All my totems are 0-2.
Oh, that's right.
My mana totem is a 0-3 or 4, whatever. And when he swaps them, they die instantly. So don't play a shaman.
The Nerubian eggs were like that too, but you want them to die.
But you want them to die, exactly. So those you put in your deck, and you suddenly get a 4-4 creature, and if he swaps it, it doesn't matter.
It's still 4-4.
Yep, I beat him with my priest. Same priest that beat Gluth. So basically, I did mage, priest to finish the quarter.
Yeah, I may have beaten him on the second turn, and again, I don't remember which. Not the second turn, the second attempt, because again, the first time I was too busy trying to figure out how to play and not get killed, because he kept switching the power, and my guys were dying. I'm like, okay, now I know that he's going to do that. Let me play cards to take advantage of that. So, a lot of people who win on the first turn are either exceptionally good, exceptionally lucky, or looked in advance what the boss was going to do. Or some combination.
I usually lead with my shaman. And then I wind up winning with mage or priest or something else. I did want to mention that Ringo in our chat room just said that to play a Murloc Warlock on Thaddeus for crazy buffs. So that could be fun.
Our chat room's filling up.
It is.
Shout out to Breezy and Ringo, and Yogi Zilla's in there.
Yep. Somebody sent a deck this week that was I don't know whether it was one of the Warlock Zoo decks or not, but I'm gonna try it, see how I like it.
No, it wasn't. Well, it may have been a Zoo variant, but I had mentioned that I'd been looking for a demon deck, and I think this was a demon-centric deck that he sent for us to try.
I'm gonna try it. Definitely gonna try it. I think I actually have all the cards since I got my little Leroy Jenkins. Anything else to say about the Construct quarter, not including the class quests yet?
No, I think the quarters are getting harder and harder.
Oh yeah.
But that may be some bias. I think Thaddeus was probably the hardest final boss. As I said when Micmac was on last week, that I found the final boss on each of the previous wings to actually be easy, at least in normal mode. And whereas Thaddeus was not as easy as the others.
See, now I found Grobulus to be the one with the slimes. He was the hardest for me.
He was the hardest. I'm talking about the last boss in each quarter. He
I
was
think
the hardest last boss.
I think I either one-shot him or did it in two. I did it very quickly. Oh no, I didn't one-shot him because I went in with the shaman, which was the big mistake. And then
Right.
I got him with the priest pretty quickly. But he's a fun boss. I said, why go back and play any of these again? He was so much fun, I might go back and play him again just because he was fun. But moving on to the class quest, this week we had the priest versus Thaddeus and the warrior versus Gradulus.
Well, my priest one-shotted him.
Yep, I did a one-shot to Thaddeus with my priest as well. And they awarded the card Dark Cultist. Dark Cultist is 3 casting cost, 3/4 creature with death rattle that give a random minion, a random friendly minion a +3 health. So that's the priest card that came out of this, which is finally not a broken priest card. Well,
Yeah, I think it's balanced.
yeah, I like it.
I'm wondering at how unbalanced priests are. I think people have gotten away from playing the priest decks that used to drive us crazy.
Yes, they have.
'Cause-
I've been playing a lot of priests lately and have not seen. I mean, 1 or 2 out of 10 priests now, only 1 or 2 play that horrible way.
I fought about 6 priests this week without conceding. Sorry to disappoint you folks who are used to hearing me say that.
We kind of
And
stopped.
only one of
conceding.
them beat me. I beat all the others quite handily, actually.
Nice. Yeah, but as Yogizilla says, a dark cultist, you wouldn't expect that to be a priest card. I have to say, I played a priest who became a shadow priest, and he beat the living crap out of me. He changed it so I think he put Mind Spike or something on his weapon, so it was always, no matter what, it was doing damage. It never once did heals. And he had it so perfectly balanced that he pretty much quickly obliterated me between just shadow damage and shadow creatures, and it was I want that deck. It was beautiful. It was a lot of fun to play against. I lost quickly, but I was impressed because here's a priest that completely broke the mold and played a different way, and it was very neat.
Well, did he play the Auchenai Soul Priest?
Which one is
Your cards and powers that restore health now deal damage instead?
he did play her. And with the thing he did, I think the damage actually doubled. Or he played some sort of card that the healing or damage was double each time. I mean,
there's
but
a
I mean,
spell that if
even
you're
when I
already in
killed
shadow
her,
form, that it'll double it. I forgot the
right?
card.
But even when she was dead, he was in shadow form. I'm gonna have to look it up and let people know what the card was that he used to do that. But he was in shadow form throughout the game. It was pretty cool. Didn't have to have any minions out to do that, and he was just popping me for 2 points of damage left and right.
Yeah, well, they're saying in the chat room we're going to see a lot more Shadow Priests, but this guy that I was playing against, whom I beat, he had to kill his own Auchenai Soul Priest in order so that he could start healing himself again.
I've seen that happen. Or somebody thanks me for killing it for them so that they can start healing themselves again.
Yeah, that's true. Velen also doubles the spell stuff.
Yep. Warrior to Grobulus. I will say, okay, first of all, it awards the card Death Spite, which is a weapon. It's a 4 casting cost 4/2 weapon. Death Rattle is deal 1 damage to all minions. It's an okay card. It's got a death rattle on your weapon. That's pretty cool. Maybe it shatters when it hits something for the last time and just shrapnel. I know you don't want to hear this, but I got him my second fight. I think I got lucky. I wound up getting a couple of cards that gave creatures that were already attacking another like +3. So I was able to like just annihilate him very quickly.
I think they had to be wounded to get that bonus, if I remember the card correctly.
So I did on the Warrior Challenge, got it on the second, but here's where I turn the show over to Autumn's Bane, because he has a lot to say on the Warrior.
Well, first let me start off by saying that most of the class challenges have not been too much of a challenge. They have stupid Homer. They have not all been what I would consider good representations of the class. This time, the representation of the class's weaknesses came full to bear. Now, from the people I've spoken to and through Twitter and things, um, when you win the Warrior Challenge, it's because you were dealt a good hand, you got proper cards, and you were able to overpower him. However, most of the time, that is not happening. So here is why I think that the Warrior Challenge was broken, because it was nowhere near in the same league as all the others. If you're going to make them all easy, then make them all easy. Or if you're going to make them all slaves to the RNG, the random number generator, then do it to all of them. This particular deck was so dependent on what cards you got and the strategy the opponent uses against the warrior is so anti-warrior. I did not play another class challenge that was this crippling to the player. First of all, the opponent always went first, so you never got the coin. To make matters worse, there wasn't a single spell that I ever got that I could cast on the first turn. So first turn, nothing. Might as well just say the other guy goes twice because you can't do anything on the first turn. A 14 attack, 8 health minion with taunt by turn 4. By turn 4, 14-8 with taunt. Only one direct removal spell in the entire deck, and the minion that you want to remove has to be damaged first. So you have to either crash a minion against him or have some AoE spell or something hurt it so that you can use execute on it to get rid of it. No other direct removal spells. He only gets 2 weapons, 2 copies of that same, what was it, Death Bite or whatever, the one that you get as a reward. And 9 times out of 10, the moment I cast it and end my turn, after attacking once, out came an acidic ooze, which just destroyed it. So here's a warrior that has no spells that reach over a taunt minion. You have to take down the taunts. The taunts are too many and overpowered. You can't get past them other than to remove them, but there's no creature removal spell. There are almost no minions in your deck that can overpower them. And your weapon, which also needs to go through the taunts, it can't go over the head like a spell can, keeps getting destroyed by the card put in the deck specifically to destroy those weapons. It's just overloaded with taunts, and that +4/+4 with taunt spell that he kept casting on the ooze, which duplicated itself. I was sometimes facing 4 or 6 minions that had taunt. Now, it took me 12 to 15 games to finally win. And when I won, I got the perfect combination of cards. I got the troll that gets, what was the frothing berserker or whatever, where it takes damage, because one of his hero power wounds everyone. So I managed to get into a game where I got all the cards I needed that could get boosted up quick and run over before the taunts were there or before the taunts got too powerful to take out. And I did win. And the game that I won with was just as easy as all the other class challenges. But it was all luck. If you did not get the right cards in your hand, you were screwed from the beginning. And it actually angered me. It's the first experience I had in Nax that angered me, because heroics are supposed to be hard. I expect them to be hard. But when all the class challenges have been face rolls, and I have to play 12 to 15 games to beat this with the warrior, and the warrior is my 4th class. Of the 4 classes I play all the time, the warrior's one of them. I know how to play a warrior. I know how to use the cards. I know how to strategize. I was just crippled like I had just been playing Hearthstone for the first time, and it pissed me off.
Yeah, and I even tweeted to you that I just got lucky when I won the second turn, and I was so happy I didn't one-shot him, because I know that dinner would have been hell that night.
And everyone I know who has won has said the same thing. Oh, I got the lucky hand. Oh, I
That's
got
it. It was
lucky.
luck. It was luck.
It
And
should not be
it
that
shouldn't be
much
luck. It
luck.
should be skill. Absolutely, I agree with you. Um, I am actually going to drop back from the warrior to the priest again for a moment. We were talking about zombie chow doing 5 damage. 5 health to your opponent when he's killed. If a priest drops the Akanai Soul Priest, which is the 4 casting cost 3/5 creature, your cards and powers that restore health now deal damage instead. When he dies, he does 5 damage to your opponent. That's the way to go with that card. Spain? Did I lose you?
No, I had nothing to
Oh.
add to that.
Oh, okay. I always thought you would have something to say, and wow.
No,
Silence.
I used up all my words.
On the warrior.
Yeah. Oh, there was
Your
another
word
minion.
allotment.
Another minion who would, if he's enraged, he gives you bonus to the weapon that you never had at the same time that you had him.
Ah.
Oh, Spiteful Smith. A 5 casting cost, so you gotta wait till the game's practically over and you're almost dead to get him. A 4/6 minion. Enrage. Your weapon has +2 attack. So, he never got enraged. He never got enraged, and the one time he did get enraged, I didn't have a weapon because
Right.
the acidic ooze spat on it.
Correct. Yep, I saw her come up. She was useless to me, even in the deck that I won with.
Well, I was going to talk about this later, but I'll bring it up now. When we first started podcasting, Team 5 that at Blizzard that does Hearthstone had about 15 people. They've recently grown. They're over 30 people now. So they must have had that class challenge designed by the new guy.
Oh no! I'm Spain.
Hire number 31. Here, do the class challenge for the warrior, please.
Oh, okay. So that's our summation of the construct quarter. We're reaching our last quarter next week.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, is it considered a quarter? Isn't it kind of like?
It's not a quarter. It's like the hub.
I was gonna say it's kind of like the hotel suite, the top floor.
Well,
So
I have to say this. When it came to replicating the fights in Naxxramas as a card game, they really did do a good job in terms of the actual boss fights.
absolutely.
The whole Thaddeus with Fugan and Stalag, the Lothid thing, just they really did their homework and made this feel like Nax. And I'm hearing all over the place how all these people are going back into Nax just because they got psyched up from Hearthstone, and I like that. And the venom about this warrior challenge class, don't take that to mean that I don't actually like Naxxramas. That's not true. It's just I thought this was unfair. So I'm talking to you, the person who's going to give us a 1-star review because you think I hate Blizzard, the way you did when you heard Black Lace go off 2 weeks ago. So please hold off your 1-star review, and it's just a temporary,
a momentary
no matter
temper
how
tantrum.
much you love a game company, if you're not critical now and then you're not legitimate.
I do want to say I'm still hoping, possibly beyond hope, that I see a Mr. Bigglesworth card. It would be this quarter because we've got the Lich, and didn't Mr. Bigglesworth actually belong to him?
Yes, Mr. Bigglesworth is Kel'Thuzad's pet.
So hopefully we will see Mr. Bigglesworth. I'm still hoping for the kitty cat to show up in a card.
Yeah, he might show up as a bonus when you kill Kel'Thuzad, but nobody's saying.
We shall see. Only a few more days, actually. I would say tomorrow, but for us on the East Coast, it really won't be tomorrow. It'll be Wednesday that we see this quarter open. Yeah, because of the 11:59 p.m. rule.
They treat the East Coast like they treat the Alliance.
Oh, yes, we won't go there either. So, moving on. You had a bunch of things that I'm throwing the ball into your court until it's time to start talking about iTunes and emails. So, what's up on Spain?
There have been some interviews out in the community with Ben Brode. He's been a busy beaver. And I have all kinds of information that I've gathered together, and you don't know most of this. So,
I am waiting with bated breath
a
because
bated breath.
braided, yes, that stuff. Baited. I don't eat worms, so sometimes I eat crow, but we won't talk
So,
about that.
okay. So, first off, I mentioned that the team is over 30 plus people now, including a balanced team. So, there's actually a crack team of expert players who are there playing just to make sure the cards are balanced. So, it's nice to know they're doing that. Here's something to set you off. Remember how we talked about the eagle horn bow being changed just because of Nax?
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you remember a couple of weeks ago, or at this point, maybe even a couple of months ago, they changed secrets to proc only on your opponent's turn?
I do remember that.
That was changed specifically because of duplicate. So they've done it
Oh
twice.
my god. How do you? This is a fact?
Ben Brode admitted it. Those were, I paraphrased him, but those were his words.
I don't want to say what I'm thinking.
So I just thought you'd want to know that Eaglehorn Bow
Yeah.
was not the only one. Because let's face it, duplicate would be terrible if you could do it on your own turn. Let's call out, Leroy Jenkins or Rags or something and use them and then get him killed and then get two more in the hand. No, that would be
Oh
terrible.
my god. Yes, that's absolutely. Oh wow.
Now, speaking of balance, do you remember your favorite priest card? Mind Control?
My 10 casting cost mind control, yes.
Yes, it was not nerfed for game balance purposes. They actually thought it was quite balanced, but the reaction to it, or as he said, the hair-pulling rage that people had whenever they saw that card come into play on turn 8 or turn 7 if you had the
Oh,
coin.
is that why they gave it the axe?
Because the community was just enraged by it. It was just no fun to play against. People would concede. Nobody would ever play Ragnaros. I mean, it was. They still think it was balanced. They said they didn't change it because it was unbalanced.
So that's why it went from 8 to 10.
Yup, because people were enraged.
Well, that kind of shows you that it's off balance. If that many people have a reaction to something, there's something wrong with the card.
No, because it's emotional. It's a visceral thing, and you and I know that feeling. We've complained about the priest cards many times for that, but
Maybe they were feeling like mind control was controlling their minds and making them rip their hair out.
Oh, maybe. So
It too close to the real thing.
There's more stuff. People keep asking, add this, add that. They want to keep the number of UI elements that they add to a minimum. Remember how few Warcraft had at the beginning, and 10 years later they have a lot? And you know how intimidating Warcraft is now to new players who get in and say, what? What do I do? Well, they're afraid that will happen because Hearthstone is heavily based on new players coming into the game. So they don't want to add too much. So they're working on the observer mode, but they don't want to make too many changes too fast because they don't want to scare away the new players.
Interesting.
Yeah, because somebody suggested that they want to revise the way arena's done so that if you're running tournaments, you can actually do a viable arena-style tournament. But it's just something that, while there are people on the team who would like to see that happen, there's just too much going on. But observer mode is being worked on, and we will see it at some point, and maybe even make use of it during our tournaments. Now, ever wonder how good a player is? How good is good? How far up the ladder do you have to go?
Mm-hmm.
Ben Brode said if you're rank 10, you're really great. That there's not that many people who have actually achieved that rank. So I've had people write us letters. We've had people write us letters and say, well, I'm only rank 7 or I'm only rank 8, but that's great. If you've passed level 10, don't think yourself a bad player because you didn't hit legendary. Ben Brode's words, if you've hit rank 10, you are a great player.
Nice.
No, he actually said you're one of the best.
Very nice.
But
And
we're talking
looking,
millions of people playing, so I don't
yep,
know how many
yep.
that is. Is it 100,000 people who have hit
I don't
level
know.
10? I got to 12.
I have currently 12 people on my friends list active right now. One of them is rank 8.
Yep. So
So,
if
yeah,
you've gotten that far up the ladder, feel proud.
definitely, definitely.
Okay, so this is a little stuff about Nax. Ben Brode said that when he first pitched Naxxramas, the first draft, only 3 of the cards that he pitched from the very first rendition of Nax made it into the game. And even in the second iteration, only like 6 or 7 of those cards made it into the game.
Hmm.
So they went through lots of iterations to figure out what was going to be used and
Well,
what was good and what was not.
there are only 30 or so cards, so they probably had hundreds of ideas.
Yeah. Now you've asked, how come we only get 2 class challenges per quarter? Remember we thought we were going to see a whole bunch more? Why do we have to
Mhm.
wait? The first week I didn't get the hunter. It was a little disappointing. He said it's because they needed to space out the cards. It was the only way to really do it. You don't want to get a whole bunch of cards all up front and then, not get others till later.
That
And
makes sense.
and you also want to see some of these cards that you get used in the game. There's a card that we've seen used that we did not have the opportunity to get yet. But when we finally get it, we'll know what it looks like because we've played it already, or played against it, I should say.
Which card is that?
That ooze that splits up and duplicates itself,
We're gonna get that?
that's on the list. If you look in your interface under Nax cards and crafting mode, so you can see the
Interesting.
ones you don't have yet, it's there.
That must be something. Yeah, it must be in the next class quest then.
Okay, this is kind of exciting. The next big thing they release will not be another solo adventure. It'll be a real expansion that'll have more than just 30 cards.
Did they give any more details than that?
No, of course not. But it'll be like a full expansion. Probably, maybe not at the same level as Magic the Gathering and other cards, but when we got expansions, we got what, 60 cards, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So maybe we'll see a lot more cards, and that will breathe some life into the game. But he gave no clue as to how soon that would happen.
Probably not too soon. It took a while for this one to come out, and this isn't even an expansion.
Yep. So Blizzard has stressed that if you want something added to Hearthstone, talk to the developers about it. Use the forums, use Twitter, use email. They didn't even know that people wanted observer mode until people started telling them. So if you're out there and you have a good idea, send it to Blizzard. They might just, you might think they're ignoring you, but they actually listen. They don't reply to everyone, but they do listen. So, put your ideas out there. Personally, I wouldn't do it on the forums unless you have a very thick skin or don't plan to read the answers after you post. But that's just me. There's no current plans to change any more cards. The team wants to change things as little as possible. They'd rather
Well,
add...
they were saying that since beta.
Yep, but they
And
still
then
keep
boom,
doing it.
card changes, card changes, card
Yep.
changes.
That is true, but they're still saying it.
Any more news?
Yep, there's a bit more. Alexstrasza being denied on Lotheb was good and bad. It was great because it changes things up and makes it fun, but there's a drawback where the visibility of this mechanic wasn't good, so you might craft a card like Alexstrasza to beat the fight and then get punished for it.
Ouch.
I wonder how many people did that.
That's horrible. I hadn't even thought of that.
Yep. People asked, how come Maexna only had a power of 2? And they said Maexna is a potentially scary card, so they wanted to keep her attack low to prevent her from seeming overpowered.
That makes sense too.
Lotheb was created to be a metagame tool to be good against decks which run lots of spells. Makes sense. I mean, you cast Lotheb toward the end of your game against a priest, there's no mind control coming out. How you going to get that extra 5 mana?
Hmm.
Well, at least for one turn. Because that only
Correct.
works the next turn.
Correct.
What else did they say? Web Spinner is a great example of randomness being important, and when used correctly, it increases the skill required to play the game. You have to adapt on the fly to what card it presents you. Now, with that Web Spinner, I have gotten that stupid parrot that lets me pull out a pirate 4 times already.
So you actually put it into your hunter deck.
The Web Spinner? Of
Mm-hmm.
course I did. I have 2 of them. That's an awesome card. I got King Crush in my hand once. Never got to play him. I've gotten Mayexina twice. I got the Beast once. So you can literally have any beast in the game show up in your hand. And
That's cool.
I even got another Web Spinner once. But I don't know if it's skewed towards certain ones because I just got the parrot 4 times. Anywho, during the
If you have,
creation... Go ahead.
now I was going to say, keep in mind, we're drawing to a close here. I have a couple emails, but we can always do the one we held off on last week and do more later next week if you want.
I'm almost done.
Okay,
So
go for
during
it.
the creation of Naxxramas card set, no cards were specifically changed based on arena performance. So I guess they kept arena in mind when they were making them and didn't change because of that. At the moment, it's too tough to say if Zoo is a problem. We need to see how Nax changes things up, and the game needs to settle down before any conclusions can be made. So somebody must have asked about the Zoo deck. And just a quick rundown on the timeline of the design of Naxxramas. I thought this might be interesting. First, design the cards which will be rewarded from the adventure. 2, create the normal boss fights. Most time was spent there. 3, make class challenges and create fun decks for each class. And 4, the heroic fights. How do we make these crazy while keeping them beatable? And Ben had said that initially they just wanted to make one version that would kind of scale, but they realized that that wasn't going to happen, so they separated into the multiple fights. So that's all news from various interviews and sources from Ben Brode, the developer, and now you can do your emails.
Now I can do my emails. We had actually a couple of really fun emails, and one that I'm gonna just grab pieces of different people's emails and read them because we appreciate everybody who sends us an email. We read all your emails. Even if you don't get into it and we don't mention it, doesn't mean we're not trying your decks. And I apologize if I do use somebody's deck and have a great time with it, I'll mention it. I'm going to start using them soon because now I've got more cards that actually can finish off people's decks. But thank you, everybody, for your emails. Sorry if we don't read them on snippets of people who have sent us things. We have an email on Naz Dormu, and this was given to us by Storm Song. He basically is saying he finally caught up with the episodes of our podcast. He noticed that we questioned the purpose of Naz Dormu's turn time reduction, and he wanted to throw in his 2 cents because I think I ran into that card 2 games in a row and then never saw it before or after, but I had fun with it. He says that he thinks that the best use of this unusual battle cry is in a mage secret deck, reducing the opposition's time to decide how to play against secrets. It could work for hunters as well, but as Autumn's Bane mentions, most hunter games end before the card would see much use. With the addition of duplicate, mages continue to have the highest number of possible secrets. It also allows them arguably they're most difficult to play around. He still misses seeing a few key cards, Kirin Tor Mage, but with the release of Max, he'd like to attempt more viable secret deck in the future. However, he has a very funny story. I'm going to read it verbatim. Yesterday, I found myself playing an enraged mage against another mage. On turn 3, the first secret dropped. His board was clear, and I held control with a 5/2 Amani Berserker. I dropped a Kobold Geomancer, testing for Mirror Entity, and passed the turn knowing I could use the Kobold next turn to check for Vaporize and still trade the Berserker ability with his 4-drop if necessary. On turn 4, his opponent played Arcane Intellect and passed. I attacked with the Kobold, which did not trigger the trap, eliminating Vaporize or Ice Barrier. I then safely attacked again with the Berserker. On turn 5, he dropped Leroy Jenkins, attacking my hero. Since I was at 30 life, it was pretty clear what the secret was. He cast Polymorph on Leroy and ran one of the 1/1 whelps into it. Duplicate triggered, sending him 2 1/1 sheep back to his hand. He finished attacking on the next turn. His opponent conceded to a couple of 2 drops and a 1/1 whelp. So what he's basically saying here, folks, if you know the mage secrets that they can play, you can get around them by testing out to see what the secrets are. And if you think that that secret is that new card that they've given you, which when your secret is played or something, you've got the secret out,
Duplicate.
it duplicates that character. So your Ragnaros who's killed now has 2 Ragnaroses in your hand, and you're playing something that can do something against it. Kill something that's a lot lower first. So test them out. Test the waters. See if it's the Ice Barrier, which adds 5, or Vaporize, or whatever. Know what your opponent likely could be playing. Even hunters, if you're playing against hunters, know what those secrets are too, because then you can try to get around them.
Or paladins.
It's a very important thing. Or paladins, yep. So yeah, if you're new to Hearthstone, take a few minutes to read the different secrets and learn what the different secrets are so that you can test it out so that you don't get surprised when they do come out.
I wish I remember which turn we went over all the secrets and how to deal with them, but so if you're new, you could backtrack in our log. All of our episodes are there, and there were, I think, 3 episodes that we spent talking about the secrets.
I could announce it next week. I'm sure I've got it somewhere in my show notes.
Sure. Are we going to do the 5 languages of Hearthstone?
Yes, we are. That was next, and last is going to be the ladder.
Do you want me to read it, or you want to read it?
Go for it.
Okay, so we wanted to read. Mac was with us, and we ran short on time. This is from a very prolific listener. He writes us all the time, and you've heard us mention him before. It's Aquila. Or actually, he wrote David from the UK, Aquila, in previous email. So he's coming out and giving us his real name. So David wrote this. I thought it was hysterical. He calls it the 5 languages of Hearthstone. Dear Autumnsbane Blacklace, I like the idea of understanding what the opponent is trying to say when they only have 7 emote options available to us, including saying nothing. A few thoughts. In each case, you are rank 20, playing another rank 20 player. 1. They have a Nerubian egg on the table with a number of other 1 and 2 attack minions. You play Stampeding Kodo, hoping for good RNG, and it activates the egg. They say, well played. They mean, lols, noob. They say, oops. They mean, you slipped on a banana and I'm laughing at you, along with the rest of the world. Okay, example number 2. You have been tussling with them card for card. They play Cairn. You say, well played. You mean, nice play, nice card. Wish I had Cairn. Good timing. That could swing the game. Next turn, they slap down Rag. You quickly say, well played, again. You mean, not well played. 2 legendaries at rank 20? That's a bit unfair. Next turn, they slam down Ysera. You immediately say, well played. But what you mean is, this is ridiculous. You are level 20 with all these legendaries. You must be useless. With those cards, I would be legend. What's the point? Stupid game. I concede. Example 3. You get beaten quickly by a warlock. You say nothing. You mean, stupid zoo deck, easy mode, no skill required. Why not just throw your computer at me? I hate Hearthstone.
It's getting very vicious.
Example 4. It doesn't... Yeah, dramatic reading may not have been intended, but anyway.
Oh, I'm sorry. With the... yeah.
4. It doesn't matter what has happened. They say, sorry. They don't mean it. And then he put 4 again. I'm sure he meant 5. You have a good game against a player with a balanced deck against your balanced deck. You either win or lose. You say, well played. You mean it. They say, well played. They mean it too. What a lovely
What
world
a
this
lovely
is.
world it is. It was
Keep up
great.
the good
Thank
work.
you.
I know you ran out of cards a few turns ago, but hope you're not getting fatigued yet. He's referring to the fact that we
Yeah,
call
our
our
turns.
episodes turns.
Yes, we would be fatigued.
You know,
But thank you for that. That is a
we were
great
mentioned
email.
on a realm maintenance podcast. They were bringing us up for some subject or other, and he started to say episode, and then he corrected himself. Row at realm maintenance. He goes, on episode, I mean turn. I thought that was funny. So I guess we have a reputation for calling them turns.
Mm-hmm. And just to say, the secret was basically on. I just lost it.
Well played.
Here it is. Turn 14, our episode, or turn 14, was called Shh, It's a Secret. So I would bet if you were looking through our podcasts that you go back to that turn if you have questions, and we did discuss secrets in that one, probably in a few others as well. But in a podcast called Shh, It's a Secret, I'd say it was a good guess that that's the one you want to be listening to if you have questions on secrets. Now, the last email, we're going to go a little long tonight. The last email is basically about someone asking us, is sliding down the ladder dangerous?
It's David again, by the way.
It is. Great emails. Basically, hello, Autumnsbane and Black Lace. What do you think of my behavior? I've recently been enjoying the game by deliberately conceding matches at turn 1 in order to slide back down the ladder to rank 20 when I reach 18 or better. This has the advantage of winning a higher proportion of my matches of those I contest, which means I get my dailies done faster. It seems like a win-win for me. My opponents get a cheap win also and a gain. But it just feels a little dirty. I wonder whether if I am doing this, others are too, and are spoiling the game for people who are naturally at or around rank 20, but are forced to play people who should really be around rank 15. If Blizzard monitors things like this, how long do you think it might be before they intervene and give people who deliberately concede multiple consecutive games a timeout? Like, if I remember correctly, they did if you deserted in a battleground in WoW. Please don't condemn me. I'm just a guy who enjoys the game. So, what are your thoughts here? I don't see that they could do a timeout if you constantly are conceding.
I once conceded to 5 players in a row because they just kept throwing
There's
priests
a
at me.
frustration level.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, I wonder if I'm going to get nailed for this, because once, like on the third concede, I lost connection. I'm like, did Blizzard just do that? Was that intentional? But I don't know. I don't think it's a
I don't
big
think you have to
deal.
worry about it.
People concede all the time. The doorbell rang, the baby is crying, the dog is eating the cat, whatever. You know, it's a priest. I mean, I faced 5 warriors in a row the other day. It was really weird, just warrior after warrior, and I had never seen that before. And I felt like playing. I kept playing, but if I were not in the mood, if I were, you know, if I hated warriors like I hate priests, I'd have been conceding. So sometimes I play to try to do quests, and then I get my quest objective and I just concede because I want to go do something else. Okay, that was the one I needed. Goodbye. But I'm surprised you just don't play in casual. But the same thing can happen in casual. You could get people in there who are great players just slumming with a new deck. And even
if
though
you
it's a
lose
new deck,
enough,
they're really good. They're going to chomp you down. So I think
yeah,
you actually have a clever plan.
yeah, I'd like to know how well it works. I mean, does he, when he gets back to 20 after losing and losing and losing, does he actually start doing better again? I shouldn't say losing, I should say conceding. So yeah, it's interesting. I don't think I'm going to do this because I still want to advance in my ranks, and my theory is if I win or lose, it doesn't matter
Well,
as long as I don't lose like 8 or 9 times.
He's doing it to speed up his questing.
Right, but what I'm saying is if I've got 20 minions that I have to kill, um, doesn't matter if I win or lose, I'm going to kill those minions. And if I'm going to be playing to do 5 shaman wins, um, I want my shaman to get to hero, so I'm going to keep playing him that way too. I don't know. It's kind of 6 of one, half dozen of another. I
Yeah,
don't think.
this game has such a wide variety of players, their personalities, their styles. I think anything you do that doesn't specifically break the rules, and quitting is not breaking the rules. They wouldn't have a
Right,
concede
conceding.
button if
Correct.
you couldn't quit.
So, I don't think you have to worry about it. I don't think that they're gonna give you the whammy. I don't think they want to take a chance of doing a timeout, because when they do a timeout in a battleground in WoW, you can play in the regular content. You can run around the regular world and quest and do things. It doesn't ban you from the game. If they did a timeout in Hearthstone, you wouldn't be playing their game at all. That's not something they're gonna want to happen. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, so don't worry about it. Keep doing what you're
Keep
doing. Have
doing it.
fun.
If it works for you, go for it. Quick shout outs for iTunes. Shanoogans.
Schnuggins.
Shanoogans.
Schnuggins. Schnuggins has written to us before too. Thank you,
Yes,
Schnuggins.
thank you
I
very
love when we
much.
get a review from someone we actually know.
Yep. We want to thank you for that 5-star review. So we're sending you this little shout out. Also want to say hi to Hippie. I ran
Let's go
into.
back to the review for a second.
Oh
I just want to
boy.
say, if you like us, please drop us a review. It doesn't have to be 5 stars. Just go in there and say that, you like us and give us 3 stars or 4 stars. We've been having a rash of 1 stars, but we don't do this for money. We do this because we enjoy it and we enjoy the interaction with our fans. So help us stay successful, and if you feel like you want to help in some way, then write us a review, please, and
Some people
help keep
ask
us
for
on the
money.
map.
Yep, some people ask for money and donations. We ask for reviews. No, okay. Anyway, thank you
Enough
very much.
panhandling. Go
Yep,
on.
thank you very much for that review. And I was starting to say I wanted to say hi to Hippie. It's pretty neat when I'm running around in WoW and somebody says, "Hey, Black Lace, I hear your podcast." And then I chatted with her for a while, yes, her. See, there are girls who play Warcraft. She and
And they
I.
always contact you. That's the second or third female player who's contacted you in
Okay,
Warcraft
okay.
about Hearthstone.
Can I ask you something?
Right ahead.
What is the name of your character in Warcraft?
Well,
It's not
95%
Autumn's
of
Bane,
them are
is it?
female. No,
And it's not Autumn's Bane. So how
that's
the heck
true.
would they know who you are? My character's name is Black Lace. So you
Okay.
see Black Lace, you figure, hey, maybe it's really Black Lace. But anyway, hi Hippie.
Okay.
This
I'll
is your shout
concede
out.
that. I concede.
Look at that, he conceded to a priest. All right, that is it for the week for episode 41. There's going to be some really fun news coming at episode 45, so keep a listening for that, because at episode 45 we have a nice fun announcement we're going to make. I have nothing more to say. I want to make sure Autumn's Bane doesn't before I give my little spin down.
No, I just want to shout out. I've already mentioned all their names, but thanks, guys, in the chat room for coming and paying us a visit. It's always fun to not be so lonely.
Yeah, and I apologize for those in the chat room. I'm not that great with multitasking, taking notes, reading letters, scrolling through the cards, and all that, and actually listening to what Autumn's Bane might have to say. So, you can follow us on Twitter at A Worthy Opponent. You can find us on Twitch TV / at Holosuite Media. Let me do that again. Twitch.tv/Holosuite Media. On our podcast nights, we are live and we are also in the chat room chatting with people. You can find us on Gmail at awohearthstone@gmail.com. You can find us on iTunes to download us. You can find us on Facebook at AWO Hearthstone. You can find us on Stitcher Satellite Radio and Google Plus, A Worthy Opponent. As always, the end of summer sadly drawing nigh. The Hearthstone's going to have to be a lot warmer soon, so happy hearthing.
Bye, all.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to tonight's broadcast of A Worthy Opponent, a production of Holosuite Media. Join us next week at Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And be sure to check holosuitemedia.com, iTunes, and Stitcher Satellite Radio for our remastered shows and more. You can follow us on Twitter at Worthy Opponent, or if you have any questions or comments, please send an email to awohearthstone@gmail.com. Welcome to our inn.
Can I go pee now?